Hi, we're Richard and Jackie from Early Retirement Wanderlust.
And very excitingly, we are planning a 5-week trip in an RV to America.
Only this time, we're taking Jackie's mum with us. As we said in the introduction, we are so excited to be planning this trip. We are looking at 5 weeks in the US, in the fall, in an RV, travelling around the Rocky Mountains. So, what is better than that in early retirement?
This opportunity's come up because we are travelling with my mum, as Richard said. And my mum is on a quest to visit all 50 states of America before she dies. She has already visited 41 and she has a real thirst for travel. She is such an inspiration. She's 78 at the moment and she has travelled through most of the states completely independently on her own in her 70s. She has flown into various different airports around America. She'll get rail trains across different states. She's been on different bus trips. But as she's got a bit older, she actually wanted a bit of company to do the last few states, which is what's given us the opportunity.
So we were out with Iris in America earlier on in the year on our Arizona adventures, and she left us partway through that trip to fly out, as you do, to Hawaii on your own. And she came back from that and clearly had done a bit of thinking, and in true Iris fashion just sat us down and then suggested that we all go out to the States this year.
And she was quite insistent that she wanted to have a go at travelling in an RV, because most of the time when she's travelled, she's done it through different flights, trains or buses on her own, but she likes small town America, so she's quite excited about actually travelling up through the Rockies, being able to visit all the little places that a bus or a train wouldn't get you to, or you can't just fly into, and just having a bit of a RV adventure with us. The only thing that Mum actually has given us as a brief for planning the trip is that she's got 4 states that she would like to tick off on this adventure. She wants to go to Wyoming, Montana, North and South Dakota. She'd like to visit Colorado again. She'd been there briefly, and luckily that's where we fly into.
So it's a really scary prospect. We've got 5 weeks. We know our starting date, and we know that we pick up the van the day after, and we know when we've got to drop the van off, and we know when we fly out. But that's about it. And you would think that that makes it really exciting, but that freedom is there's just too many choices.
And actually we go quite soon, so we've decided we really do need to sit and do a little bit more planning and a bit more thinking about very specifics of where we want to visit, where Mum would like to visit as well, and actually make a few bookings.
So what we want to do is take you through the process, because we realise that quite often on our trips we just pack up the van and go, and it's just, we're travelling with Iris, it's just not going to be possible to do that. We're completely outside our comfort zone. We are travelling to the US and picking up an RV that we've never driven before, never mind seen before. So yeah, we've got to do a little bit of planning.
Rich is a bit nervous because the RV is actually twice the size of our VW campervan Nelson, and he's got to drive it everywhere.
We only really made a firm booking for this trip about 12 weeks ago, and we had started doing various bits of research into RVs and the best flight prices, and it was just getting really, really complicated. So we actually ended up making our booking with Trail Finders. So they handled our flights. So we are flying out to Denver and flying back from Denver, and they handled the RV hire because we just hadn't got a clue looking at it. And they have booked us a standard RV, which is a C25. So we think
we
think that that's a 25-foot RV. It looks enormous, but it's the smallest one that they do.
So the next thing we've had to really look at is making sure that we have got travel insurance in place, because I did realise quite panically that our travel insurance had run out about 3 weeks ago, because we'd got it just as we started living in the van and we were travelling last year. So that's now in place. I was really shocked at how much that cost us, but when we looked at it, it was travel insurance for US travel, for our French ski trip travel, and normally we would have got it through the bank, but we don't have a job anymore, so we don't have an income going into the bank. And then the next thing we had to make sure is that we've still got an ESTA in place, because to travel into America, you have to have a visa. It's dead easy to do. You just go onto the American ESTA website, making sure that you're not on a bogus one. It does only cost about $14, was it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So ours was still in place from when we went to Phoenix last year. So that's all done. Insurance is in place. ESTA is in place. We've got to start thinking about ordering travel money, but that doesn't need to happen just yet.
One of the things we are concerned about is the time of year we're going. We're so excited about getting to the US in the fall, but we perhaps learned a little bit from our Arizona experience, where we went thinking it was going to be lovely and warm last year, and we were suddenly snowed in.
Oh gosh, yeah, when we were in the Grand Canyon and we were knee deep in snow, weren't we?
We were. So the fall is just going to be amazing for photography and the colours and everything that we're going to get to see, but we are a little bit twitchy about what gear to take with us.
I'm a little bit twitchy since we read, or my mum was reading last night as part of our planning, that the fall is also the time that the bears feed themselves up well and truly before they hibernate. And we'll be there, ready for them to feed.
The company that we've got the RV booked with is Cruise America, and to be fair, they are really good at trying to put drivers at ease over the prospect of driving these huge things around the States. So they have sent loads of pre-reading, loads of familiarization videos. It could not be further from our little Nelson. It's got a generator, it's got black tanks, which sound horrific. It's a completely different experience, but something that I'm really looking forward to. And the more information I get on it, the more comfortable I feel.
And the roads in America are so big and the parking spaces are so wide, because they all drive big trucks anyway. So it wouldn't be as bad as being in the UK.
But Jackie still hasn't put her name on the insurance documents to drive if I don't quite fancy it. Part of the package is that we've got an unlimited mileage package, which was really important, because sometimes when you hire an RV, you can get stung on surplus mileage. And we have also got unlimited use of the generator, which if we're away from campgrounds, it's really important that we can charge things, and Iris feels cozy warm when she's in the van. There is also two different packages. So there's a bedding package that is included in our hire fees, and there's also an equipment package for things like kitchen utensils and things like that. So we should be pretty equipped. However,
I do have a cunning plan. If it's not, as one of our stop-offs, because the first place that we're going to is about 3 hours drive from Denver, we'll find a Walmart, have a bit of a break anyway, and if we need to, we'll buy whatever we need to from Walmart. For example, the package comes with sleeping bags. There's no way myself or my mother are sleeping in sleeping bags for 5 weeks. So because we were away for so long, we might buy little things like just a cheap duvet and take a duvet cover with us, so that we can just have little home comforts in the van. As we said earlier, we haven't actually booked a huge amount, but we have booked our first few days just for our own peace of mind, really. We've booked the first campsite about 3 hours drive from Denver, just so we can get used to the van, get used to how it drives, but not too far that it's a long day after we've had such a long flight anyway. And then we've booked another night in a town called Dubois, ready for us to go into Yellowstone.
And one of the things we were really keen on right from the start was to go to Yellowstone. And then once we'd made the booking, we realised that we had about a week's window before the campsites in the park started to shut down. So as soon as we'd made the booking, we tried to make some bookings at Yellowstone, and it was really problematic.
Yeah, there are about 5 campgrounds. 3 of them have already closed down. They closed down right at the end of August, as soon as the holiday season finishes. And the other 2 campgrounds were pretty much fully booked. We spotted one night towards the end of September that was available. So we booked it straight away. And then we've done all our rest of our plans around that.
But interestingly, since then, we've found some little glitches in the booking system. So I think what happens is that people make provisional bookings and then cancel at the last minute, because when we were making some more bookings last night, there was so much more availability in Yellowstone. So we've jiggled that around a little bit, so we get more quality time in the park, and we get to see a few different campgrounds that a month ago were fully booked.
Yeah, and Actually, because of the only availability they had in Yellowstone, we were literally driving from Denver and we had 4 days to get to the north of Yellowstone to that campground. But now we've given ourselves a week, which is much better because there's different national parks that we want to visit. There's Jackson Hole National Park and the Grand Teton National Park that we would have literally been storming through to get to Yellowstone. So it's been great. We've been able to jiggle them around a little bit more, and we have got a firm week's worth of bookings now. So we do know where we're going for the first 1 week out of 5.
The only other booking that we've actually got was at the insistence of Iris, who, having read the Sunday supplements that were featuring North and South Dakota, she wanted us to go to an iconic motel called the Rough Riders Motel. It looks crazy.
It doesn't. It actually looks amazing. And it's in a place called Medora in North Dakota. So that's towards the end of, because Mum's ditching us to go on a bit of a different trip with my sister, and it's towards the end of the time that she's with us.
We're looking forward to visiting Medora because it looks absolutely beautiful, but having looked at it last night, apparently on the 2020 census, here's a fact for you, there's 122 residents in the town, so it's going to be quite an experience.
With it being such an iconic trip going through the Rocky Mountains, visiting so many different states, we wanted to make sure that we're covering all the must-do sites and places to visit. It's been really exciting, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, and we've tried to keep it really simple. So we've just been trawling through a variety of Google searches for top 10 things to do in Montana. And I know a lot of those sites are not the best sites, but they gave us whole list of things. And what we've done then is we've just gone through and looked at the common things across the sites. So we've got an idea of our wish list for when we're passing through the state, and then we've got the flexibility to hopefully try and build that in.
Yeah, and we've also bought quite a few, between us and Mum, quite a few different American books. So this one's been amazing. The US National Parks, that's given us a base for lots of ideas of where we want to go. And then we've also bought a USA Rockies trip that kind of, it's not just national parks, it gives you an idea of different things to do in each state. So there's loads and loads of ideas. We've also watched a lot of different YouTube channels that have got different clips on the states that we're going to. We sat with Mum for about 2 hours last night going through different North and South Dakota videos and Montana, and just so many ideas and places we want to visit now.
And it was lovely because she's such an experienced traveller, and interestingly that's her go-to method of finding places to go to that we wouldn't really thought about.
No. So apart from having the first week booked, which is just for our peace of mind, we are just wanting to stay really flexible. Your major consideration is to do with miles per day, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't want to get stuck into very, very long days on the road because it's such a huge country and I don't want to spend all my day travelling, and I don't want Jackie or Irish staff to suffer that either. So trying to reduce driving time to something that's manageable per day. And also, I'm not a massive fan of driving on the big interstates. There aren't many interstates where we're going, but just keeping to the highways and getting into the back roads of small town America is exactly what I want to be driving on.
We do need to also try and avoid the trap that we do get into sometimes in Nelson, where we do only stay in one night in different places, and you do get tired, don't you, after a while? So it's making sure we think about how long we stay in each place as well.
In rounding things up, one of the things that we are absolutely adamant that we want to do is to try and balance a little bit of organisation with a little bit of freedom, because we can't do a trip like this with Iris just the way that we would do our European trips, literally setting off with no plans and no bookings. So we have got to have some organisation for her peace of mind and for our peace of mind, but we also want to have that flexibility to get a little bit off the beaten track.
Do we know where we're going for the 5 weeks? We've got a rough idea. The biggest problem actually is making sure that we reel ourselves in, because we get really excited. Already, my mum is leaving us after 3 weeks because she's flying off and we've got 10 days on our own. And already I'm thinking, oh, well, we could go back into Utah and we could go and do the Arches National Park, because that's only 5 hours drive from Colorado National Park. But that's still a day's drive there, a day in the park and the day's drive back. That's 3 days of the holiday gone, isn't it?
So at this moment in time, committing ourselves to camera, we are reeling ourselves in, and when Iris leaves us, we are going to pretty much stay in the Colorado area and really get to grips with all the amazing places that are in Colorado and limit ourselves to that.
Yeah, Rich has banned me from going into Utah.
and everything else can just wait for another trip, which is a nice problem to have.
It is.
Another thing we want to get out of the trip, which is really important to us in our early retirement, is building memories. So it's more than just a trip with Jackie's mum. It's an opportunity to build those memories and to really have some fun together, exploring the world, because Iris is such an amazing traveller and we have got so much to learn from her. And her freedom of travel is quite incredible. So yeah, we're really looking forward to that time together.
And Mum is just so excited now. She just can't wait to get out there and actually have company. When we first retired, and knowing that we had 3 years till we get our pensions, we didn't think we would have one trip to the US, never mind the fact that we've had the opportunity for having 2 trips this year. Mainly opened up by my mum, who we joined in Phoenix in February, and now we're joining her on this RV trip.
We're so excited, and the time that we had in Phoenix just opened our eyes to the potential of trips stateside. So if you fancy looking up in our back catalogue, then we've got quite a few videos from when we were in Arizona, but we are more than excited about this trip.
We are, and it's not long till we go. So if we could ask a favour, if you've got any must-see places, if you've done a similar kind of trip into any of those states, please tell us in comments at the bottom.
And that's about it.
Yeah.
We've just got to get on with actually packing now. So see you later.
Bye.